Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I got 2 more weeks in Taiwan. I want you guys to pray. I know this is gonna sound weird, but pray that I catch COVID-19 before I go back home to the United States. And the reason for that is that Taiwanese people are a whole lot nicer when your chips are down. Back home in the US, you could be on top of the world one day, and then the next day you get something wrong, like you're out, right? Like last week when I was looking for my passport when I lost it. Imagine that it happened in the United States. I've never had good accommodations every time I lose something back home in the US. Whether it be at a hotel, at an airport, I've lost things all sorts of places. Uh, I often leave things behind at airport security, and I never have good fortunes. Not only do I not have good fortunes at finding what I lost back, usually I don't have very good treatment either. And here in Taiwan, if you lose something, at least you usually make a friend while you're looking for it, right? And back home in the U.S., you get anything wrong, you are cast out. You look at all of the homeless people on the street, or anybody who has a serious misfortune, and you look at their history. They probably had one or two or three critical events that set them down that path, right? The rest just sets itself in motion once they have it. And last year I got a really bad. I know this is going to sound like a broken record but not every one of my viewers has been on my channel for a while. Last year I was in the United States. We had a heat wave in Phoenix, Arizona, and I got a really bad case of COVID with long-term symptoms. And I did not fare very well socially. It's bad enough to have COVID, long COVID. Heat waves are bad enough. The social aspect made it completely unbearable. What had happened was that in Phoenix, our tap water isn't very drinkable, and I barely could get out of the house to get water. I don't remember how I got in my car and drove 3-4 miles away to a grocery store. Got some food and water. The grocery store I went to normally had a Starbucks where you could sit down, but for some reason they weren't open that day. I don't know if it was COVID related or maybe quiet quitting related. So I sat down on a mobility scooter. Now, the other reason I sat down on the mobility scooter was that oftentimes money was tight. I was a starving artist at the time, right? And I barely had a few drops of gas in my car. Otherwise, I'd go to my car and idle the car for the air conditioning, right? It's 115 degrees outside. I'm really trying to make do, is what I'm trying to point out. Now, the security guard at the grocery store wasn't very nice to me. And it wasn't even just that he needed the space for something, right? He came up to me and said, "Sir, this is not a seating area." And when I went to apologize to him, first of all, you got to understand, a lot of Americans, when they're on a power trip like that, their ears are shut off. I can't tell you how many times I wish, if only I had 2 minutes to explain the situation, whether it be a workplace event or out in the public. Now, thank God he had just one. He actually wasn't listening, I think. But when I apologized to him, I said, I'll make it quick. I'm just recovering from COVID-19. The word COVID woke him up, and he was like, "Oh," and he backed away from me. But it wasn't because he realized that he needed to give me space. It was because he didn't want to catch COVID. Thing was, I wasn't even contagious anymore. It was long-term symptoms. But he only heard the word COVID. Had he actually listened, he might not have been so accommodating, right? Because he would have realized I had already recovered from the virus itself, right? But had I said anything other than COVID, had I been recovering from cancer, had I had a mental health breakdown, had I just been victimized, right? I was just outside the store when somebody carjacked me and took off with my car. I bet he could have cared less about that. He would have dragged me out of the store, irregardless of any of that, right? Had I said anything other than a contagious disease, he would have dragged me out of the store without a care in the world. But I can't see that happening here in Taiwan, which is why I hope to get the COVID out of the way. And Unfortunately, I didn't bring all my shiny stuff. I'd love to offer a reward for anybody here to give me the COVID. Remember last spring before the summer heat wave, I was offering some rewards. I guess I could offer some of the paintings I've been making here in Taiwan. You know what? I will. That periodic table that I painted, Mendeleev with the corrections given history, I will offer that as a reward for anybody here in Taiwan to give me COVID-19 before the end of my trip. At least a week before the end of my trip, because I need to have the recovery here. So before August 7. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.